Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Sword Art Online 2 episode review. This one is going to be for episode 16, King of the Giants, the second of the three episodes of the Excalibur arc. And yeah, good episode because it had like what I consider to kind of be our first, proper ALO kind of boss fight, that type thing, on the level of the Gleam Eyes fight from Sword Art Online. Um, I thought the fight at the start of this episode was really good at getting across that, like, this is ALO, but it's ALO updated to be more like Sword Art Online, to the point where it's basically Sword Art Online with a little extra. And I really like that because the fight didn't feel like it was all about magic. They kind of had a little bit there, and that Asuna was staying back and mainly performing spells, but the majority of the action was focused on everyone using their swords. And the idea of them introducing sword skills into ALO worked really well because of how they explained it, in that it almost worked better than sword skills from SAO, because with a universe with magic, you have the idea that they're using magic enhanced sword attacks. So just the idea of Kirito with his dual blades, and one of his swords is using all fire attacks, and the other one is using ice. So he's kind of like perfect balance of fire and ice. I thought that was a really cool effect to have, and especially the big fight reveal for Kirito in this arc of being that he has learned how to chain sword attacks together, because ALO doesn't yet have dual wielding, so he kind of just has to, in terms of attacking with his dual swords, attack with one and then do the other one. Whereas usually, if you use one of these big attacks, you use it and then you get kind of are locked, kind of stunned into position for a while. Kirito is kind of chaining his together, and I thought that was a cool way to kind of explain the system, and just get across the kind of how good Kirito is at the game. I like the flashback to basically Klein asking him the exact same thing about dual wielding in the first place, and now he has to explain, skill link basically to him. So yeah, I just liked everyone's reaction of just like, oh, nostalgia, happening again, deja vu. Um, and yeah, like just stuff like Xenon, her archery attacks are all ice based. Seeing Silica use the dagger, Lisbeth her mace, Klein with his samurai sword. Just really cool stuff. Everyone got their little moment in the fight, and it just worked very well. Especially, like, you see Asuna at the start of the fight, and you're wondering, oh, what's she doing? Like, she doesn't even use that much magic in the fight. And they basically take out the first one of these minotaurs, and then it's left with like a sliver of health, and then Asuna comes in to finish it off with her attack. I really like that, just showing that she's kind of moved herself into a more of a support role, but she can still fight when she needs to. I really like that idea. Um, and it was just a really cool fight. Definitely, it felt like the Gleam Eyes fight, that they're always going to get a good fight in these series about just a group versus a kind of minotaur-like creature, whether it be Gleam Eyes or an actual minotaur here. Um, so that ended up being a really nice way to kind of just spend basically half of the episode on this one fight. It was nice. And then they just continue to hype up that there's only like an hour or so left, and we still have to clear 2 floors before we get to the boss. And along the way, they encounter Freya, who is obviously an NPC trapped behind ice bars, and Klein is instantly attracted to her. Is kind of what they go for here. And everyone else thinks it's a trap. He's just like, okay, she has a health bar. She's right here on the path just before the final boss. We don't have much time. We're not going to activate this trap, Klein, okay? Okay? And he's obviously attracted to her. But when it comes down to it, he's just about to leave. And you kind of... They manage to effectively get away from he's just doing because he likes her, and more like, no, he really buys into this idea that when he's in the game, he's a samurai. He has a code of honor, and he wants to help people. She asks for his help, and he's willing to do that and kind of take anything bad that happens from it. And so he frees her. They obviously do some stuff, kind of setting up that kind of relationship kind of thing, just showing everyone like, oh, this is all Klein cares about and stuff like that. But just before they go into the fight, everyone restores their health. Asuna gives everyone buffs, and then she also who's now part of the party, gives them all buffs as well, using really powerful magic to boost their max HP. And everyone's shocked by this as they walk into the final boss room, and they're confronted by the big boss, the King of the Giants, Thrimmer. And basically, you just have a back and forth that Freya was meant to be married to Thrimmer, but she didn't agree with this, and she's there to get back one of her treasures that is somewhere hidden in this kind of room of treasures. And, it's just a really nice setup that we had the kind of sub-boss fight. Now we're getting the full boss fight, and that's what the whole last episode is going to focus on of this arc. So, overall, very effective episode in terms of, we got a fight that really got across how far the show has come in terms of the ALO being the group's main game. The fighting is now on a level where it's just as good, if not better, than Sword Art Online Aincrad stuff. With all the effects and the elemental kind of magic sword attacks, it's looked amazing. And then the more plot focused sort of thing, kind of getting across still that the quests in ALO, especially these type of ones that our main group goes on, are kind of constantly challenging the players to make these kind of immersive real world type decisions that everyone else in the game except for Klein there was thinking just about, oh, quest, game, final boss is here, NPC here, we don't want to mess with that, it's probably a trap. Whereas Klein is kind of just thinking, no, if we were really exploring and we saw someone trapped in a cage, we'd free them, regardless of the positioning, how convenient or inconvenient it is. I just like that's kind of been the whole thing the whole time. As well as that, I forgot to mention actually earlier on, they establish that it's not just that the Frost Giants are going to take over. It's literally that this will cause a war that will basically destroy ALO. That ALO, of all of the VMORPG games, is the one game that is based on the original version of the Cardinal, the full kind of spec version of that operating system, whereas everything else is based off the seed copy. So that means that ALO is the only game out there that can basically make new quests itself from other information, and kind of use AI NPC characters. And the game has got to the point where this quest will basically, if failed, trigger Ragnarok, which will destroy ALO, the game, and basically make that game non-functional anymore. I thought that was a really interesting way to make this seemingly random arc more intense than it needed to be. That the whole fate of this game that they play, this is their main game, is at risk because of this one quest that is activated. And them saving the day here is going to save basically everyone still getting to play this game. And I just like that they added higher stakes than you kind of expected. Going into this arc, you think, oh, it's just a random quest, but they're going to get Excalibur at the end, so that's cool. But no, they make it big, not life-threatening big, but still big nonetheless. And we just end with the fight about the start, and very successful episode because of that. For an arc that only has 3 episodes, you get most of the setup in the first one, key middle part, first fight scene, setup for the big fight scene, plus some other story stuff. And then all that's left is for part 3 to resolve this arc effectively, have the final fight, and just be really good. So I'll probably do that review tomorrow. But that's been the review for episode 16. In the comments, let me know your thoughts were on the episode and the review. Other than that, thanks for watching, and bye.